In 2022, the NBA suspended Kyrie Irving for 8 games without pay in response to sharing controversial opinions on Twitter. This kind of thing happens all the time in traditional sports all over the world, and in esports, it's no different. Just recently, the LCS player Bwipo got himself into a little bit of a controversy by sharing his opinions about women in esports during a live stream. In summary, he reads a comment in his chat asking him why he thinks there aren't many women in professional esports. He then responds by going on and on about women being unable to be professional gamers because if they had to play during their periods, they'd be too emotional.
When a woman is on the wrong part of the month to play competitively, right? I mean, there's a time in the month where you should not be fucking playing competitive games as a woman, in my opinion.
And shockingly, this was not well received. His team quickly put out a statement and announced that he would be suspended for their next game, and his prize money from the current tournament would be instead donated to charities that support women in gaming. But he would not be the first nor the last person that gets their gaming career into a little bit of trouble over what they say online. However, before we talk about the others, today's video is sponsored by Opera GX, the only browser made for gamers. And to help you from lagging and dealing with interruptions while gaming, Opera GX now has a built-in VPN and ad blocker to give you a smooth browsing experience all in one place. And unlike other browsers, Opera GX won't eat up all of your RAM. In their GX control section, you can choose exactly how much of your RAM, CPU, or bandwidth that the browser is allowed to use, preventing your game from lagging due to your browser in the background. Opera GX now also has built-in AI integrations. Within the browser, you can just highlight any text and have it translate the text, summarize it, or even explain it. Also, what makes Opera GX special is you can customize everything. In the GX store, you can find loads of different mods for your browser, including official League of Legends mods, like mods for Lee Sin, Renata, Renekton, and Cassante, among many others. And each mod comes with its own unique experience, with unique music, browser sounds, and even sounds for when you're typing. But you can customize everything to exactly how you like it. So if you're ready to get started with Opera GX, use my link in the description, and also to get 1 month of VPN Pro for free, use the code EGGPLANT, available till the end of 2025. But okay, to specifically answer the question of what happens when pro players get cancelled, returning to the Bwipo story is a great example. Because unfortunately, the timing for this was pretty bad. Not only did he lose his tournament prize money, but apparently we would later find out that Bwipo was supposed to be featured in that year's World's music video that was coming out only a couple weeks later. And in response to this controversy, the animators of the video actually cut out Bwipo's part. And we know this because Riot themselves tweeted that the release of the video was getting delayed because they were cutting out Bwipo's part. But moving on from this situation, Bwipo isn't the only pro player to sabotage his career because they couldn't resist talking about women. In 2023, a player named Nicolai, that name kind of rings a bell, was kicked from his team after making sexist comments in solo queue toward another female player. The timeline goes like this. Nicolai gets into a solo queue game and his ADC Zeri is actually another pro player, Kaltis, who was actually signed to G2's female team at the time. And during the first minute of the game, the opposing team invaded their jungle, Zeri got hooked by the enemy Thresh, and she gave first blood. Nicolai would go on to repeatedly ping her flash, and seconds later say, "Ah, you are a girl." Explains a lot. He would then continue to complain about having a girl as his teammate in all chat, saying, "I just have a girl on hyper carry champ. It's GG." They would later lose this game, and Kaltis would go on to share screenshots of the chat on Twitter with the caption, "Yes, it turns out even pro players can be sexist," tagging both Nicolai and his team. Also, some of you might think this isn't even that big of a deal, but as others pointed out, he's not being particularly toxic due to her gameplay, he's just repeatedly calling her out for being a girl instead of a bad player. And even then, when you're being paid to play video games, part of your job is just to be somewhat of a decent person while playing said video game. Anyway, the tweet would end up getting a lot of attention, and Nicolai would proceed to double down, calling people snowflakes, not apologizing, and later making his account private. And we know this thanks to this Reddit comment because the actual replies don't exist today, as he disabled his Twitter account soon after this happened. Anyway, as you can imagine, after this situation started gathering more attention, his team came out with a statement announcing that they'd be removing Nicolai from the team. And if this sounds like a harsh punishment to you, you're probably right for a normal occasion, but this guy had actually only been on the team for 7 days prior to this event. So they just recently finished signing this guy a couple of days ago, and now he's attaching their name to negative drama on Twitter. It was likely an easy decision to get rid of him and move on. But if his goal was to achieve an esports career speedrun, I think he did pretty well. Now, on a somewhat similar topic, here's another story you might have heard of if you were chronically online during this time. Back in 2023, a player named Reptile, who was signed onto the esports team Fnatic on one of their lower division teams, had a little bit of a slip up on a live stream. On this day, he was casually streaming his games when he decided to switch accounts, because he wanted to play Draven and this other account had a Draven skin.
I want an account where I have a Draven skin on.
However, upon logging onto his second account, he realizes that he just logged into an account named Hitler199, and instantly he realizes that he made a mistake and logs out of that account.
Oh shit, that's the wrong account. Ah, hell nah.
However, the damage was done, as viewers of the livestream quickly shared the clip in hopes of getting him in trouble. And they did. Only a few hours later, Fnatic posted a tweet addressing the situation. They said, quote, "Reptile ceases to be part of Fnatic TQ. Today's event on this stream demonstrates that he doesn't represent at all the values of both Team Queso and Fnatic. And he doesn't meet the criteria of exemplarity that anyone who is part of either of the two entities must show at all times, both within and outside of the competition. For this reason, we have proceeded to terminate his contract." Long story short, he would later go on to post a lengthy apology. But overall, he says that he wasn't the one that changed the name on the account. Instead, he said his friend logged into his account and changed the name as a joke.
I need to text my friend Clara right now. She was at my house earlier today.
But believe what you want to believe, a lot of the evidence still pointed to him being the one that had been playing under that account while it had that name. But regardless, the damage was done. Whether it was a joke or not, Fnatic completely dropped him from the team for this reason. And at the time, this story gathered a lot of attention from the community. Some people were very supportive of him receiving consequences for the name on his account. And then there were people on the other side who thought it was a little too much for Fnatic to just ban this guy for potentially having an edgy joke as his name, when the average League player isn't usually the most picture-perfect individual. However, what I didn't see brought up is that what he ended up doing or not doing didn't really matter. This was negative PR for Fnatic, one of the biggest esports organizations in the world, and someone at the company probably saw that this drama was kicking off. They checked who Reptile was in their organization, saw that he was just a player on one of their lower division teams, and just quickly decided to cut their losses. To further paint the picture for you, at the time of this drama, Reptile had been at Fnatic for less than 2 months. So this was less about Fnatic overreacting and more of them just deciding that it would be a terrible decision to publicly defend a guy who's at best making insensitive jokes, and it's better PR to just announce that you don't condone the behavior, drop the guy, and find a new ADC. Additionally, Fnatic stopped participating in this tournament with this academy level team only a few months after this event happened. So they were likely already thinking of dropping the entire team, regardless of them having edgy names on their accounts or not. Also, random, but the last time I checked in on Reptile, he was dating an adult film star and publicly sharing his relationship problems on Twitter. But hopefully he's doing even better now. But to send off the video, Reptile isn't the first player to get in trouble over having a problematic name on their account. In 2014, Svenskeren also had a similar situation. Svenskeren might ring a bell to you, as unlike the previous players I mentioned, he had a lengthy career in the LCS with top tier teams. However, during Worlds 2014, which was hosted in Taiwan, Svenskeren had to make a new League of Legends account to play solo queue while he was in the country. He sat in front of his computer, thinking hard about what he should name his account. And then it hit him. The perfect name for his new account would be Taipei Ching Chong. Well, it didn't take long for people to discover this, and as you can imagine, people in Taiwan took offense to a pro player having that kind of name. And a few articles were made stirring up some drama and requesting for him to apologize. Riot would then learn about the situation and quickly address the issue, while announcing that for his behavior, Svenskeren would receive a 3-match suspension and a $2,500 fine. Although, he actually said it wasn't him who named the account, but instead, it was his friend who renamed his account as a prank. Okay, I just made that up. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you have aspirations of becoming a professional gamer, try to watch what you say on live streams, don't be toxic in chat, and don't name your account problematic names. Follow those 3 steps, and maybe you can be the next faker. Maybe. See you next time, take care.